Good evening, everyone. I'm Nicole Lentini. I'm one of the admission counselors here at Champlain. We're very excited that you're joining us for our, oh my goodness, third spring hangout. I'm very excited to bring on a wonderful group of panelists to talk all about women in leadership positions here at Champlain and just the wonderful opportunities that we have in different organizations at Champlain. Your host tonight is going to be Mary, and I'm going to turn it over to her in a bit. But in case you missed any of our past hangouts, they're available on the Champlain College YouTube channel. We will also continue to tweet them out, and you can keep an eye on our Instagram account. We're posting them all over the place, as well as on our blog, so hopefully you will get a chance to check them out and learn all about Champlain. Also a reminder, if you have any questions while you're watching this tonight, please tweet at us using the Champ Hangouts hashtag, and we will do our best to make sure we answer as many questions as we can on the air tonight. If we miss you, we'll just try to catch you afterwards. Without further ado, Mary, if you want to hop on and then introduce all your panelists.
Hi, awesome. So thank you everybody for joining us at the Women Empowered Student Leaders in Champlain's Campus Communities Hangout. As Nicole mentioned, I am Mary Reilly. I'm going to be your host this evening. I am a senior in the Digital Forensics program, and I'm also an intern for admissions, which has been a really rewarding and exciting experience. And with us, we have three other lovely ladies and student leaders on campus, so I am going to let them introduce themselves. Rachel, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Mary. So I'm Rachel. I'm a current senior here at Champlain in the business division. My minoring in event management, and some leadership roles I have on campus are I'm president of CHAMP, which is like a program board. I've been in OL. I'm in the student government. I'm also an intern with Mary, so I get to work with her a lot, which is fabulous. Yeah, those are some of my leadership positions.
Awesome, awesome. And Laura, we've had you on a few hangouts before. If you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura. I am a sophomore game programming major with a minor in math. I'm from Albany, New York, and some of the positions that I have on campus is that I'm the treasurer of our Open Source Technology Club, and I am a student ambassador.
Awesome. So, last but not least, if we could hear from Tara.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Tara, and I'm a sophomore marketing major at Champlain, and some of my leadership positions are I work in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. I just got a peer advisor position, and I just got a student ambassador position.
Oh, hey, congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, the topics we want to kind of cover today during this hangout are what are some of the empowered women on our campus doing? How are they getting involved, and where can women get involved in empowering other people and learning about leadership? And I'm really excited about the people we have with us here today. I think that they're some of the best and the brightest on campus, and they've all definitely contributed to the community in their own different ways. So I'm totally excited to talk more about that with them. So I think I'm going to start off with a question for Rachel. She has had quite a few leadership roles on campus, especially in student affairs. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about some of those roles on campus.
Yeah, sure. So I'll start off with the orientation leader position, because that'll be the first kind of person that our new students will see when they come to campus in the fall. So the role of an OL is to be that point person the very first day of college. From move in, you spend the whole weekend with your OL, and you get to get acquainted with the school, with your roommate, your hallmates, your RA. Pretty much any question you would have about the school, Burlington, or life, your OLs will have an answer for. And they're really just trying to help with the transition into college, because it can be tough for some people. The next position I have, is CHAMP president. So CHAMP stands for Champlain Has Activities and Motivational Programming, and they do a lot of the bigger scale events. So each semester we have 3 events. So this semester we had our Snowball, which is a semi-formal dance, Mr. Champlain, which is a beauty pageant, and then we're planning our Spring Meltdown, which is the end of the year carnival. And so my job in that as president is to kind of make sure that these events happen. So I facilitate all of our discussions to picking a theme, to ordering novelties and designing t-shirts and marketing, and kind of just putting the whole event together so that the rest of the school can enjoy it and kind of have a few hours during it to relax. And then another one that I'm a part of is the Student Government Association, which is a fairly new one to me. I've never been part of student government before, but this year I got involved and I'm the director of operations. And so what I do for that is I mostly take minutes for our meetings, but what SGA does as a whole is we are the voice for the student body. So each division has a different senators that they can come and talk to about either issues in their division or things they want to see on campus, and then their senators will take what they want and try to make it happen. SGA is also serves as like the umbrella for clubs. So if you want to start a club, you can go to the SGA and they'll work with you to make your club happen.
Awesome, cool. So I think that was a pretty good overview of kind of like what those roles look like. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you got involved in SGA? What kind of attracted you to that role?
Sure. So I think what attracted me to SGA is I wanted to try something different. For like my senior year, since my sophomore year, I've always been involved in student activities, and that has been majority, I don't even think that was a word, but that's like all I've really done is student activities, and I've been involved in clubs before, and I wanted to see like what happens on the other side of like being in a club. And I feel as though being part of SGA has really taught me a lot, especially since I'll be graduating in May, and it's just different ways to deal with people, because there's a variety of different people you'll always come across. And I've just learned how to communicate better with people and like write more professional emails, because I work a lot with like the higher ups and professional staff here on campus. And it's just also opened a lot of doors. Like I've become very good friends with Lori Quinn, who's the provost of the college, just because we have like regular meetings with the president's cabinet. And so I've like gone to her for advice before. So it's just been really rewarding for me as a whole.
Yeah, you've gotten to have like a very real role on campus and like making real change. So that's super, excellent. And aside from that, kind of academically speaking, you're a business student, and female identifying business students, tend to be a smaller population, overall, in terms of the demographic of those majors. What has studying in that area been like?
We noticed that there aren't a lot of female business students. Some female identifying students of their voices changing. Their female identifying students have started this group called Stellar Women in Business. Our focus is to go but all students like the tools that we're actually like an SGA funded club now, and it's great. We have a lot of underclassmen who are interested, so I know that once I graduate, it's not just
Okay, can we hear her? We lost her. Okay, we're just gonna give Rachel a second to regroup, and I would love to move on to talking to Tara, if that's all right. So I was wondering if you could tell us a few things more about the leadership roles you're in on campus, and just like a little bit about your background.
Okay, so my first leadership position really come from the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and I'm a part of CARE, which stands for Champlain's Achievement, Retention, and Excellence Program, and it's really a pre-orientation program for first generation and culturally diverse students. So what we do is we bring them on campus a week early. They get assimilated to college life, kind of get a feel for the campus, what their classes will be like, and just more comfortable being on the campus, and we get mentees through that program. So this year I had two first-year mentees, one who is an IT major and one who was a international business major. And really we serve as a support system for them if they have any questions, if they are confused about anything, if they need help with classes, and if we can help them with it, we really direct them to who they need to talk to, push them outside of their comfort zone, and help them to be comfortable in the college life and prepare them for whatever they're going to experience throughout their first year, and prepare them for their second year as well. So just making them more comfortable with college. I'm also a leader in the Shades of Me group. So Shades of Me is Champlain's Women of Color Affinity group. And in that group, we do a lot of similar things. It's really a safe space for for women of color identified on campus. And we talk about things that we experience. Earlier this semester, we put on a Black History Month celebration where we represented women from the civil rights movement that have empowered us. Um, and I also work in the ODI, so just like I said, working with the CARE students, putting on events for them, organizing activities for them, and just making sure that they're more like engaged in campus.
Cool. And I believe you mentioned beforehand that you had also recently gotten hired on as a peer advisor for next year. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So could you tell our viewers a little bit about what a peer advisor is?
Yeah, so a peer advisor is somebody who is kind of, I guess, another mentor for first year students. We help them mostly with like academics and making sure that they are completing all of their college requirements in order to move on to the next level in college. We're here for them when it comes to like if they need help with picking classes, completing their lead requirements, which is something that Champlain is special to Champlain's curriculum. Um, Putting on, we also facilitate lead events as well. And I haven't started in the role yet because I just got accepted to it, but I'm going to be going through my training this summer, and I'm really excited to start and be a part of that for next semester.
Awesome. So as a first year, you had a peer advisor then?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. What was your experience with your peer advisor like?
My peer advisor was super helpful for me, really. As a first year, I really struggled with like building my resume in college and thinking about like, or I guess just feeling like I haven't done too much to put on my resume. But just after a few minutes of talking to my peer advisor, I realized that I've done a lot that I can put on my resume. They helped me organize it. They constantly like checked in on me to make sure that it was up to date. They were always there for me when it came to like finishing and completing my lead requirements. Um, they actually also helped me figure out my major because when I first came to Champlain, I was a business administration major, and it really wasn't the right fit for me. So I was able to switch over to marketing with the help of my peer advisor.
Cool. And for first years coming in, it's definitely like really valuable to have that kind of support infrastructure. Yeah, I spent a year as a peer advisor as well. Yeah, it was a really, really awesome time. Specifically, I got to work in service trips with the college and bringing students to work in the community. And it was a really rewarding experience, especially because a lot of people got to interact with some communities that they hadn't before, or some of them hadn't really ever done service before either. So that was really exciting. Yeah, so like congratulations again on getting the peer advisor position. That's really exciting. And student ambassador position, which I know a couple of us are veterans of right now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So let's see. How did you get involved in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion?
So my first year, I was actually a CARE student, so I had the experience of coming to campus early and going through the CARE process, and I was really I guess, like amazed at the outreach and the community and support system that Champlain had, and I really in high school I did a lot of mentoring and tutoring also, and it always was something that like I don't know stuck with me. Having somebody be there for me and care for me as a first year student, I just wanted to be able to give that back to somebody else. So I was really excited to become a mentor and to help out and just if there were things that I wish my mentor would have done for me, I was able to do that and bring it to somebody else as their first year because for anybody, coming to college is really difficult, and going through your first year is going to be really difficult. So many unforeseen things that you just need somebody there to help you with.
Totally. And so you've been working now as a mentor as well. And how has that been getting to be the other person on the end of that?
It's really eye-opening because, I mean, as a mentee, you kind of feel like you wish that people would do so much for you, but as a mentor, you see that it's not as easy as you think it is. So it's really interesting to work with two different mentees. As I said, they have completely different personalities and they have completely different needs as they're in completely different majors. So it's interesting to learn from them as much as they're learning from me.
Yeah, mentoring it's a really unique experience, right? Being on the receiving end of that support is totally awesome, and then from the other end, you're like, wow, like this is really kind of a little bit more complicated than it seems, but also like really inspiring to have that effect on somebody.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely inspiring, and I can't wait to do it again next year.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Totally. I would like to ask Laura a couple questions. So, Laura, you are a game programming student, correct?
Yep.
Cool. So, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of what studying in that major has been like?
Well, it is a lot of math courses. So basically, right now I'm taking a class called Production, which is where you get into teams with other game majors and you kind of just make games. Three projects throughout the whole semester, and then I'm taking a class called Architecture, which is basically like structuring your code and making it more efficient, and like stuff I don't really understand yet, but like it. But you take a lot of math courses, some design stuff, and then kind of molding it all together into a game.
Cool. I'd be pretty hopeless at that. So I think it's definitely a male-dominated field, studying in programming and studying in games. What has it been like, kind of being in an area where there's less representation for other genders?
So there's about 3 of us in my year, and I don't actually see the other 2 like at all. So I'm often the only girl in all of my classes usually, and especially last year it was pretty daunting because I had like no friends and I was trying to make a lot of friends, and it seemed like every single class I went into there was just a bunch of boys who were already super good at programming, and I was like, oh boy, no one's gonna like pay any attention to me because I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. But it honestly hasn't been like that at all. I ended up making a really good group of friends that are in my major, and I have most of my classes with them. And I feel like they are always like making sure I'm doing okay, and they're very protective, which I really appreciate because they never make me feel like I'm like lesser or anything. They're always like. Sometimes they ask me for help when I ask them for help, so I always feel like I'm like mutually included.
Cool, that's so awesome. And I guess it's definitely a unique position to be in, especially because people coming into this major are also looking for people to relate to and people to look up to. And kind of speaking of that, are there any role models or anyone who's kind of mentoring you through this process?
To be honest, I would say probably my best friend who is also in my major, is mentoring me through it. Even though he's my age, like we really stick together, and he's probably the reason why like I've put so much effort into it. But I would say since there's not many girls for me to look up to, I would say definitely the professors are super, super into keeping me on track and making sure I'm like doing well.
Awesome. No, that's great, and I'm actually really glad you brought up the professors, because I feel like, you know, as Champlain students, we have kind of a unique relationship with our professors. I can speak for myself in that my classes have definitely been on the small side. You know, have yours as well?
Yeah, so the classes are about like 17, like 17 is probably the average class size that we have here, but in my classes specifically, there's been a lot less. I was in one class where there was 6 of us, but that just made it even better because the professor knew all of us, and like we were all so close with each other that it made it a lot more fun to come to class and like just being comfortable with asking the professor questions, because you're literally one of the only people in the room. It's not like a bunch of people are going to be judging everything you say.
Totally, totally. And then you get to kind of foster a really personal relationship with your professors as well.
Yeah. One of my professors, he actually, like, I would meet with him once a week during one of my first years of programming, and he would just make sure that I was learning everything and that, like, I wasn't falling behind. And I really appreciated that because he took, like, time out of his day to, like, meet with specifically me, and I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like it's also important to emphasize that empowerment for female-identified persons definitely doesn't have to come from somebody who, you know, is female-identified. Definitely a lot of my own closest friends and mentors and people that I look up to have been male or another gender. So it's kind of those relationships and a really supportive community that help you build up those experiences.
Definitely.
So I want to see if we can get back to Rachel, hopefully. And I would love to hear from her a little bit about Stiller Women in Business. I think I lost some of the details when we tried to talk last time, but if we could give it another shot, that would be really cool, because I would love to hear more about it.
Okay, sorry about the technical difficulty. I don't really know what happened. So I'll just start over with my Stiller Women in Business spiel. So Stiller Women in Business is a group of about 30 female-identifying students on campus who were actually brought together by one of our common professors, and he also teaches management information systems, as well as Pat Boera and Jen Vincent kind of got us together and was like, hey, you guys are all very powerful women in your major. We should take things that'll help you develop your career and make you even more successful and try to teach other people. So far this year, we've co-hosted one or two events with the BYO Biz program that Bob Block puts on. And so one of those was with one of the CEOs from Logitech, I think that's what it was called. But we had her come and she spoke to us about like building her own business and what it means to be a successful identifying female in an industry that's not really gauged at women. And then another event that we had a few weeks ago was we had a panel and Leslie Averill was on it. Allison Lockman, the president's wife, was on it. Bob Block was on it, and Sandy Houston, who works in admissions, was on it. And we kind of just talked to them about starting from college graduate to how you get to where you want to be in your career. And it's really all about like career development as well as women empowerment, which is something that we're all very passionate about in our group.
Sounds like you've had some really kind of big names on campus working with you guys.
It's been great. I've definitely met a lot of people through this that I didn't think I would meet yet during my time at Champlain, and they've become people that I could just go to now on campus and either ask for resume help or cover letter help, or if I want to look at a certain company, I could be like, hey, do you know anyone there that I could try to reach out to and things like that. So it's definitely been very beneficial to be a part of.
Totally. And just also making those connections about how kind of windy your career path can end up being. Yeah, I think that's definitely something valuable to learn from. And since we seem to be maintaining a decent connection, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about orientation, because it's relevant to everyone who would possibly be coming in, and also more specifically what it's like to be a leader in that kind of situation.
Okay. So anyone who knows me on campus knows that I love being an orientation leader more than anything. To me, being an OL is one of the most important things that you could probably do. There have been so many first years that I probably interacted with once during orientation, and they're just like, hey, like, you really made a difference in my transition. Like, I was so uneasy about coming to college, and you just made it easier for me. And to me, that, like, meant the world to me, because it could be simple, like, one of my orientees, his crutches broke over orientation weekend, and he was like, yeah, my crutches broke. So I went on a hunt to find him new crutches because I didn't want him to struggle the rest of the weekend on our very hilly campus.
Oh my gosh.
And to him, that just, like, made his weekend, because he's like, I don't think I would have gone to another school where someone would have tried that hard to make sure I was okay.
Yeah, leadership can require some quick thinking.
Yeah, it definitely does. I've definitely thought on my toes a lot more in student leader positions than I thought I would have in my life. But being an orientation leader is just such a positive experience, and I've met so many different types of people that if I had just not been an OL and just stayed within my division, I never would have met them. So it's great, and you make a lot of lifelong friends. A few first years that I met during orientation are some of my best friends this year, and it's just very, very fulfilling.
That's so awesome. And how did you end up deciding to get involved in student leadership and becoming an OL?
I think it was my first year here. I wasn't involved in anything, and I kind of felt like I was missing out because everyone was either involved in a club or something, like some sort of leadership program, and I just wanted to find my place at Champlain. So I was like, being an orientation leader is probably the easiest way to find somewhere that I belong. So I applied, I interviewed, I got the position, and then going into orientation leader training my sophomore year, I didn't know a single person in that room. And from my first orientation group, some of the people in that group who now have graduated and they've been gone for 2-3 years are still, like, very close friends of mine. And I ended up getting a lot of my, like, I got my student activities job by being an OL, because I think it was Lisa Mazzarella was like, you're really good at programming, like, why don't you talk to this person and we can see if we can get you into a staff position and stuff like that. So, yeah.
You mentioned being part of the staff team. Could you kind of expand on what that is?
Yeah, so the SAPs are for student activity programming, and what they do is they plan events for students on campus Friday and Saturday nights, and then every Thursday is either free bowling night where we go out to Colchester to go bowling, or we go to Williston to go to the movie theaters. And then the events on Thursdays and Fridays range anywhere from smoothies and movies, which is just like we make smoothies for you while you watch movies, or it could be next week or 2 weeks from now we're having like a Harry Potter night. So there'll be like butterbeer and Harry Potter movies and make your own wands, and it's just like activities to bring people together. Like you could go and not know anyone and just sit down and start talking to someone and make a new friend. Like our events are mostly just trying to get people to get together and get them to like expand outside of their division and meet new friends.
Yeah, and I think actually like right now we're about to miss free bowling night, so we're gonna have to carry that sacrifice in our hearts.
Yep, that's okay though.
yeah, I think we'll make it. So this is a question for all of you, by the way. I was wondering, and I'm just really interested in hearing your perspectives on this. What does it really mean to be empowered for you? How do you define that? I know, it's a tough question.
I can go first since I'm still
Okay.
unmuted. For me, I think being empowered means feeling that I could walk into any situation and feel confident about what I'm going to do or what I'm going to bring to the table, and knowing that people will listen to the ideas that I have and feel confident in the decisions I'm making or what I'm saying, and like that sort of thing. Kind of like knowing that you're needed in a situation and that people respect your ideas.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So I guess being able to kind of have a voice in a community is really important to you.
Yeah, it is very important to me. I feel like that's also kind of what goes with like working in teams, is if you're part of a team and no one is really going to listen, then you probably won't feel that great about being in the group. So I feel like if you even like being empowered, I like to empower other people to share their voice, because just the way I lead Champ is I let everyone speak. Everyone who's part of that group has their chance to voice what they want for an event or ideas that they have or marketing and things like that.
Awesome. And Tara, what do you think that empowerment is? What does it mean to you to be empowered?
Kind of like what Rachel said, I feel like being empowered is knowing that you have something to contribute and feeling like that's being respected and it's being heard. I think that it also makes you feel powerful and you have something to add, and you're being a part of a group that's working toward a common goal. So collective work and being responsible and respectful of everybody else.
Yeah, and being respectful of all the kinds of individualities and diversity that you can find in a community. That can be kind of a tricky task, like being inclusive and like kind of like what Rachel mentioned, making sure that everybody's voice is heard.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Laura, what are your thoughts on what empowerment is?
Personally, I guess, like, to be empowered is to be able to, like, know and understand that there's a difference between what people expect you to do and kind of tell you have to do in your life versus what you actually want to do in your life and what you think will make you personally happy. Like, for example, just, like, doing something that people will be like, oh, you're so this, you shouldn't do that, but being able to say, no, I don't care, I want to do that anyway. And I feel like that's very empowering, and just like basically a lot of confidence in yourself and what you want to do versus what people expect you to do.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes there's a way, kind of a certain proclivity to box, women, female identifying persons into a role they're supposed to play or a thing that they're supposed to be interested in. It can be challenging to want to step outside of those boundaries and explore ways of life and ways of studying, for instance, in college, that people haven't really decided is your thing or it put you in that box.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. So my next question, which is also for all of you, is I'm kind of wondering, before you came to college, what exactly did you think about leadership? Did you have a lot of leadership experience before, or was coming into these positions and being, kind of really visible in the college a new experience for you?
I would say that before college, the only leadership position I ever had was I was vice president of like this tiny environmental club in my high school, and it was mostly made up of my friends, so I wouldn't say I felt like I was in a real leadership position. And then coming to Champlain, I saw all of these like glorious leadership positions, from like being an SA to being in student government to being president of a club, and it just amazed me. And I think 4 years later, sitting right here with you, I would say that like Champlain shaped me to be the student leader that I am. I've had a lot of opportunities to be a student leader in a lot of different areas, and it's definitely made me kind of like a different person, but in the best possible way, so that when I graduate in May and have to go onto the real world, I feel really confident about doing that.
Yeah, and 4 years as being someone who has also been here for the past 4 years with you, things change really fast, right?
So fast. I honestly feel like it was yesterday that I started my college career, and now we have like 4 weeks left.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I'm stunned.
So this has definitely been the best 4 years of my life, leadership positions and all. It's been great.
I totally agree. I definitely wasn't playing a lot of very, I guess, visible roles or roles with a lot of responsibility before I came to college, and being in this environment that one is so small, it really helps you make a name for yourself, which is awesome. People start to know who you are right away, but also just having an opportunity to kind of step out of where you've been for the past 18-ish years of your life, depending, and yeah, getting involved in a new community. Awesome. So, Tara, what were your experiences? I think you mentioned that before coming to college you had done some mentoring and things of that nature, so I believe leadership wasn't totally new to you?
Yeah, so before coming to college, I definitely did a lot of mentoring programs. I was a part of a vacation summer camp where I was a camp counselor. And also I went to a really small high school, which was like a middle school, high school conjoined, so I was only the second graduating class, so I had a lot of opportunities to just think of ideas and present them and be a leader. I actually started my middle school / high school's student government, which I was the president of. I also was a mentor in high school to some other students. I also went to an all-girls high school, so I got to be a mentor to some other females and just bring them into high school again, let them get, assimilated to high school life, the curriculum, the changing of pace. And then during my first year at Champlain, I went back to my high school to help the incoming class apply for college. So I've done quite a bit of leadership position, but I do have to say that coming from New York City and then coming to Champlain, leadership is a little bit different. The environment is different. So Champlain, I say, really pushed me to once again push myself outside of that comfort zone and to go after those things of like being a PA or being an SA and taking on more leadership positions so that I can fulfill what I want to do in my career. I'm a marketing major, but I have a social entrepreneurship specialization, and I really want to be an entrepreneur, so leadership is kind of like ingrained in me.
That's so cool to hear. And I think when you're coming into leadership, people who have different ideas of leadership can end up being leaders. People who, like for you, leadership comes really naturally, and then you have people who are kind of shy and on the introverted side. I definitely felt that way coming into college, where I was like, I'm not super confident about how this is all going to work. I think you have to kind of let yourself be open to the idea of leading or being in charge and working in small steps. But people like you who are really exemplary leaders definitely kind of pave the way for people who are kind of easing their way into those roles. So yeah, it's always really awesome to see someone who's really out there in the community right away from the very beginning. It's definitely it takes a lot of bravery.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting that that you mentioned people who are shy or take their time with their leadership positions, and then somebody like me, I'm actually really introverted. I just always push myself outside of my comfort zone because I want to accomplish a lot. So I feel like I have to take that jump and I have to take that step. So it's just like adjusting my personality for what I really want to go after, and that's what I tell a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think there's kind of certain ideas that you have to be a certain kind of person to be a really important person in a community, or a leader always has to be larger than life and extroverted and energetic 24/7. Yeah, and I think it's important to kind of acknowledge that not really. Like the best teams are built of all kinds of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally. And I believe, Laura, have we gotten your thoughts on this one yet? I don't think so. Can I? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what have your experiences with concerning leadership been like before you came into college?
So I also went to a very small high school. There are about 40 kids in my graduating class. So the leadership positions that we had at my school weren't exactly like what they are here. For example, our student ambassadors didn't exactly do anything. Our student government didn't do anything. So I didn't really see those type of leadership positions as like anything of like too high significance. I didn't really see them active on my high school campus. So once I got here, like I realized like wow, these clubs are awesome. I want to be a part of this, and especially with being a student ambassador, it's really shown me like how important like having a leadership position is, because it's just you learn from the other people that you're working with, and you learn so much from them on just how to better yourself as a person. And like I don't know, I just think it's a lot different than it was in high school.
Yeah, I think most things are super different from what they were in high school. And it's definitely a huge adjustment whether or not pushing yourself to leadership is something that you're really familiar with. So I have really one big last question for you guys, and that would be if you talking to someone who's thinking of coming to college in the next year or two, especially for young women, but really everybody, what advice do you have for people who are looking to become empowered? What would you tell someone who's kind of looking for that inspiration?
I would say just like I'm gonna phrase this: younger Rachel, high school Rachel is who I'm gonna talk to right now. So if I was talking to high school Rachel about her going to college, I would tell her to find someone that will serve as her mentor, whether they be a professor or a employer or even like an upperclassman. Just find someone that they can go to with questions and who can just help them kind of navigate college, as well as if you want to be a part of something, be a part of something. If you want to be involved in student activities, find out how to get involved in student activities. Just figure out where you want to end up at the end of 4 years and do what you can to make that happen. And because I feel like the reason I started getting involved in student activities is because I know that I want to do events as part of my career, because management's my minor. So I wanted to do things that would influence my education and actually be able to teach me how to run an event. And I think that by being a part of what I'm a part of, it's definitely shaped who I am as a student, as a person, as an event planner, everything.
Yeah, and just coming into college as well, there's just so many opportunities that come at you, especially like right off the bat, where you get some of them you just have to grab and go with. And I know, at least for me personally speaking, I had a really hard time with that. Was kind of grabbing what was in front of me. All right, so Tara, in terms of advice that you would give to a younger student, a younger person, afraid or maybe just a little bit, nervous or curious about coming into college, what advice would you give to them if they were looking to become more empowered in their college community?
To anybody looking to come into college, I would tell them that, really allow yourself time to grow. Like, college, you're going to see so much growth in yourself. Just myself, I've seen myself grow from, like, my first year to my second year so much. Like, it's been so amazing how far I've come. So really allow yourself time to grow. Try new things. This is kind of sounding a little bit cliche, but definitely find your passion. Like, do everything. Test the waters and everything. Know what your interests are. Try new interests. I would just say really try to grow a lot. That's really my advice.
Yeah, and you know, development as a person, especially coming into college, and if you're coming into college right after high school or very soon after high school, it's going to be a massive kind of metamorphosis, if I can pronounce my words. Hopefully by the time people are seniors in college, they know how to pronounce most words, but I guess maybe I'm kind of lagging behind. Yeah, and last, of course, but never ever least, Laura, if you were giving advice to someone coming into college and looking out to find empowerment and to engage themselves as a leader, what thoughts would you want to pass on to them?
I would say first off, once you get into college, you're going to be very overwhelmed with a lot of people. I would say take a lot of me time to yourself to really see yourself develop as a person. Every once in a while, just take a night to yourself. And then if there's anything you feel iffy about, like joining something, for example, I say that is reason enough to join it if you're feeling nervous about it, because just doing that can prove to yourself that you can do pretty much anything you want to do, and then that can open up doors to meeting more people and doing more experiences that you never thought you would have if you had let yourself be too scared to take them.
Yeah, and you know, that's such a good point that we haven't made, is that being centered, taking time to yourself, and you know, kind of doing that sort of internal work. It's really inherently related to success and leadership. You know, the idea of someone who's just always out there 24/7, no breaks, never. You know, it's kind of a fallacy, because you know, of course, what's most important about being empowered is being able to take care of yourself first.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna round up with our questions and finish up. I was wondering if there's any burning final thoughts anybody has that they want to share quickly, or no, are we looking good? Awesome. Well, then I'm going to let Nicole hop on and wrap things up. Nicole? You're muted.
There we go. Sorry, technical difficulties over here. That was such a fabulous panel. Thank you all. That made me feel more empowered to hear about the wonderful things that that you've been able to do here, and the leadership responsibilities that you've taken on, and just the growth that you've had. So thank you for sharing that with all of our viewers. I didn't see any questions during, but please feel free to reach out to us after the fact. If you tweet at Champlain SA, we're happy to answer your questions or just chat with you about anything we spoke about tonight. So thank you all for joining us. As a reminder, we have 2 more Hangouts this spring. We have one on Tuesday, next Tuesday actually, April 12th, talking about our different academic divisions. And then we have our final one on April 14th, when we'll be speaking about next steps for admitted students. So I hope you'll continue to join us for these. Thank you for tuning in, or thank you for watching this on YouTube if you're checking it out later. And thank you once more to our fantastic panelists. We hope you all have a great night. Thanks.